Hello and welcome to our introductory studio. The first thing I'm going to do is to select a key light. The key light creates the character of the whole picture. In this case, there's a person sitting directed towards the right. That is, he's left in the picture. Therefore, I'll set the key light from the right. This gives more texture to the face. So I'll choose a rather oblique angle, so that the shadow of the nose blends with the side shadow on the cheek. After that, I'll go straight on with backlighting. I position the backlighting diagonally and make sure it lights the head well. But I really would like a little light on the shirt and cheek as well, so I'll add this backlight. Well, now the picture looks a bit hard, and it needs a little filling in. I'll put in just enough fill-in so that the shadow doesn't become double, and I'll make sure that the key lighting is still a significant part. I've lit the center stage, and now I've gone on to the background. In the background, I'm naturally eager to use the table lamp, so I switch that on before anything else. The lamp is now casting its light on the curtain. To enforce this, I have a variety of different types of background to choose from. I'll take one of the projections, just because I think it's an amusing shape. The curtains themselves also need a little light, so I position a soft lamp over the curtains to create a bluish colour. So, I've lit both the background and the centre stage. Now all that's left is the part that really gives depth to the picture, the foreground. I'll add a lamp from the side so that the foreground becomes strongly emphasized, but it must not be allowed to become flat and overlit. And when we then look at the colour picture, we see that I achieved a balance between the three acting areas. When you try your own lighting arrangements now, remember that there are many possible variations, and what I've shown you here is just one model of how you could work in this studio. However, you must always remember to think in terms of background, centre stage, foreground. We're now in the interview studio. In this situation, where it's a matter of lighting two people, I'll go for... Well, actually, I'm going to be a bit daring here, and I'll begin with putting both key lights inside the set. I'll add the key lighting first on the woman, and I'll give her enough light to make sure the exposure is right. Now, to match them, I'll add the key light on the man and balance the lighting on their faces. As you see, you now have the shadow side of each person facing the camera. So now we have to fill in the shadow, and this is where we go for fill-in. Not too much, but just enough. It's better to let things be a little bit dark towards the camera, so that it gives a feeling of depth. I'll position some parallel backlighting behind them, one on each person, and I'll now add them, first on her and then on him. There are a number of options for dealing with centre stage. I've chosen cross lighting for the acting area. And now I'm going on to look at the background. The background is really the most important aspect in this studio. There are several possibilities, and I've gone for the really unusual one of making the background red. I'm going to use these red-coloured lamp sections which are lying on the studio floor. They shouldn't be too bright, but should be a rather deep red, and this will give me the opportunity of putting more lamps into the background. So I'll give them some obliquely angled light, which will fill the area behind them. Since we're working with 3 cameras, there are really 3 different backgrounds. There's a background for her, one for him, and one which is shared by both of them. I also have to make sure that the whole area is covered. So now I have the back acting area, but I have to look at lighting the foreground as well. For the foreground, I've chosen a light positioned right over the books. If I took a light which shone from the left, there would have been too much light on the outside of the books. A light from the right would have been possible, but I decided on the central light, and there should only be a very, very little light, since it's already very dominant. Here we are in the drama studio, and the final settlement in Ibsen's A Doll's House. This studio has 5 sets or acting areas, and is the most advanced part of Lightstudio. As an example, I've decided to light the first acting area, and Helmer are sitting each in their own armchair. In this type of set, it's important to be aware of the direction the natural light is coming from. In this case, it's coming from the window, so I'll put a key light on Helmer first, from inside the set. But very, very little, since he's sitting with his back to the window. On the other hand, the light from the window is on Nora's profile. Let's see what it looks like when I add the light. Now I'm coming to the backlighting, and here is how Nora's backlight looks. And now we can add the backlighting on Helmer and see how it comes out. We've lit the actual acting area, but there is no other light in the room, and it's important that we provide the atmosphere for the play. So I'll light up the window. A lamp positioned outside shines on Helmer's cheek and goes onto a spot behind Nora's back. But it's still a little too dark. We extend the effect of the cone of light by switching on a light which shines on the wall and the picture behind Nora and which covers the room. After that, I'll deal with the wall around the window. Otherwise it would be very dark indeed. Like this. And now I think the picture is beginning to look rather good. As you continue with the lighting of the rest of the acting areas, it's very important that you try to preserve the mood you created in your first lighting. This provides continuity throughout the whole scene. And this is also something you can test by following your lighting through in a single sequence when your lighting is ready. In this studio, I'll create both a day and a night mood. As you notice, there is only one single picture seen from the camera covering the whole room. There'll be no actors since the task in this studio is to create a mood in the room. I'll begin with the day mood, and I'll be looking first and foremost at the window. It's of course from the window that daylight comes in, and naturally there won't be any electric lights on. I'll start by placing a powerful lamp outside the window, and this will also shed a little light onto the standard lamp and the wall. So, I'm going to light around the window. I'll use several different lamps to increase the amount of light until I feel it's enough. This light from outside has begun to build the mood. Lighting the floor comes next, and after that I'll put a little light onto the walls to give a softer impression to the whole room. I also want to extend the window light into the room, starting with the right side and then the left, and extending it at the door. I wanted to reach the wallpaper on the left of the door, a little on the gramophone, and finally on the table standing in the middle of the floor. This is one kind of daylight mood, but you'll surely find other ways. Perhaps you think it's a bit too dark, or just try something else. So now we'll have a look at a night mood, and I'll start with the natural light, and to help create the mood, a little blue light from outside the window. Then I'll strengthen it a little on the curtains, and then look at the lamps in the room as part of the set. First, I'll light the standard lamp on the right of the door, followed by the one on the left. But as you can see, the light from the candles and the standard lamp is not enough, so I'll put a couple of lamps over the suite. This light gives the impression of coming naturally from the standard lamp. I'll now shine a little door, and I'll position dim light over the candlesticks to reinforce their natural light. The only thing that remains to be done then is to put some light onto the table at the front. This way of working, or rather of thinking, can be used for all types of what I call emotional light. Bear in mind that when you add the acting lights to the set, they should disturb the atmosphere as little as possible. Good luck with this studio. Hello, and welcome to our introductory